I will kick it off. Michelle McCormick again. We are here with Level AI. And as you can see on their screen, they have many superpowers, and they're really augmenting the contact center and the experience with their intelligence system. They're really bringing together at your fingertips, right, what your customers' insights are, how to monitor them, how to track them, their feedback, and providing real-time analytics as well as support. Now, this is something that I see very useful in the marketplace today, and what we see with a lot of our customers who have a current contact center, and maybe they need a tool to layer on top to augment that, to really take their contact center to the next level, provide different channels of communication, as well as that intelligence, that analytics, the automation piece, and all the reporting. So Level AI is one that we recognize that can do that very well in the marketplace. And so far, we've come across probably, I would say, 40 other solutions that say they do the same things, but Level AI is pretty superior in this marketplace. So happy to have them on today. Christian, if you don't mind doing a quick intro of yourself and your experience in the space, and then go ahead and kick it off, and the floor is yours.
Sure. Great. Well, thank you so much for that kind introduction. My name is Christian Lunoe. I'm a director of sales here at Level AI. Prior to this, my story really has been focused on data and analytics. So most recently coming from Google Cloud and the Looker Business Intelligence team, and then previous to that, Comscore. And really my job has been to really tell stories with data. And up until now, I think, we've really focused on telling stories with structured data. But why we're here today and where Level AI really exceeds is making sense of unstructured data. By 2025, it's estimated that organizations, 80% of their data is going to be unstructured. And getting value out of that until today has been very, very difficult, because it's not in just neat little tables that you can make pie graphs out of. And so organizations that can take meaning out of this unstructured data and match it up to things like your CRM data, your transactional records, your customer profiles. Those are the organizations that are really going to see quite a bit of benefit out of harnessing AI in the future. And that's really what we're here to talk about today. But rather than give you a full Level AI pitch, I'd rather start at the very beginning and tell you why there are many different ways to approach this and what you should be looking for in a vendor to crack that nut, so to speak. So let's talk about AI a little bit more. And when we talk about AI, there's really three components to what we call language technology. The first is what we call speech to text. And you might be really familiar with this when you talk to Alexa, Google Assistant, Siri. And what they're going to do first is translate everything that you said in audio into that text. And then what it's going to do is break it down into constituent parts. This is what we call an NLP, or natural language processing. And this is where a lot of solutions up until now have stopped. Think of it as just doing Control F on your keyboard and looking for a very specific word in the middle of a document. It has to be highly precise in order to find that. Now, where we're seeing a lot of advancement in AI is under natural language understanding. This is really trying to understand the intent of what the person is saying. And this is the golden era for natural language understanding. We're seeing tremendous, tremendous improvements in this area. So think of how you can say to your Alexa, is it cold out? But you can also say, do I need a jacket? Should I bring an umbrella? Every time you say something like that, it knows that your intent is to know about the weather. Take that same technology and now start applying it to your customer conversations, either in a service context or in a sales context. So now that we know that there are certain ways to look up for conversational intelligence, whether it's NLP or NLU, what can you do with that data? Let's look at a customer expressing an intent. Now, they can want to return a shirt, and they can say different things. So the first would be, I want to return the shirt. Another one says, I don't want to return the shirt. I just want a different color. And then the third would say, I would never return the shirt. I love it. Now, when you look at traditional NLP systems, they're going to give you a word cloud. And that word cancel is going to be really, really big. Or they might say sentiment, negative, neutral, positive. But these are not getting at those three different intents that we're looking at here, which could be a desire to return, a different intent of changing the color, or saying, I actually love this. And so this has been a challenge that a lot of solutions to date have not solved. But now that we do have natural language understanding, we can apply this and get up to 6 times more accurate results from our data. And the way you apply that into your contact center, 3 main areas. The first is quality assurance automation. When you hear this call is being recorded for quality assurance purposes, typically those are manual teams listening to 1% of calls, and it's very time intensive. Now you can use this AI to automate the scoring of agents and get resolution across 100% of conversations and identify the most meaningful ones that we should actually use for coaching experiences. The second piece is analytics. Now, understanding why are your customers calling? What are those drivers? What are missed opportunities for upsells? What are their concerns with your products? There is no limit to what you can do once you start unlocking the data and understanding across 100% of conversations, why are people reaching out to you? And then the third and final is making your agents more effective. Whether you're automating their after call work, you're providing them next best action in real time, or you're improving the coaching that they're getting in between all of their interactions. And this can now all be done in real time across channels. What we hear time and again is that we've got a 3, 4, 5-day delay in getting these insights. And by the time that happens, this information is no longer actionable. Now with today's cloud-based CCaaS providers with AI technology, you are able to unlock these insights in real time and take proactive measures when you see things going wrong in your contact center. So now that we have a little bit of basis of understanding of how we got here, now I'd like to introduce just a little bit about Level AI. We position ourselves as a contact center intelligence platform that automates, assists, and analyzes customer service and sales workflows. We work with global leaders like Affirm, Toast, Brex, Vistaprint, Carta, and a lot of other really forward-thinking CX organizations to help them provide a better customer experience, to help them become more efficient within their contact centers, and to help them provide insights throughout the organization. The way we think about improving those agent performance and that customer experience is a 4-pronged approach. First, it starts with a real-time agent assist, where you're providing agents with a next best action recommendation and checklists of how they can advance a call based on your standard operating procedures. The next is doing screen monitoring and adherence. What we've heard from quality assurance leaders is we've had ears on the situation before, and we can hear what's happening in a call, but we can't see what the agent's doing. How are they exploring our knowledge base in our articles? Where are they finding the answers? Or where are they getting stuck? How can we coach them to navigating those materials quicker? The next would be the post-interaction quality assurance. Again, where I mentioned you can automate the quality assurance piece and get insights into 100% of interactions. An anecdote I can share here is a lot of organizations say they go to agents and say, you didn't open the call correctly, you didn't close it, you didn't ask for the sale. And the agent will say, well, you caught me on a bad day, you picked the wrong interaction. But now when we have a lens into 100% of those conversations, now we can actually provide meaningful insights and coach them on these overarching trends that we're seeing in the data and how that's changing month over month. And then the next and final piece, which I get most excited about, is the deep conversational intelligence that you get. And so how can you automate after call work? How can you celebrate wins of agents? How can you identify emerging trends? And how can you mine different concerns from your different products? So Level AI provides all of these solutions with that natural language, what we call semantic intelligence engine. We see much higher accuracy than any legacy solution. And because we offer all of these in a one-stop shop, it makes it very easy for agents to adopt, as well as administrators, managers, and QA supervisors. For the sake of time, I'm just going to go into a couple of views of what this can look like for your organization, and I'd be happy to take this offline and give you a personalized demo. But let's talk about QA automation. With Level AI, we provide a full featured suite for quality assurance teams to understand which conversations are most important. So say you have a certain product coming out and you only want to look at calls about those products, or if you only want to focus on conversations that had negative sentiment, you can do that with Level AI. We also provide, in this middle box here, a full context-rich summary of every single conversation. So when we talk about automation, some of our customers use this to push it back into their CRM and automate after-call work. So the agent doesn't have to spend 3 minutes talking about what happened. They can just use the AI to generate that summary instead. So the way it works is we will find an individual conversation that we think is most meaningful, whether it's that negative sentiment about a new product release, a certain compliance issue that you always want to track. And then the auditor is presented with a single pane of glass that has the call playback. If you had email, chat, SMS, we also support that. And then the AI will go through and it will highlight for the most important moments, whether it is that sentiment or those business specific use cases that you're looking for. We also integrate with knowledge bases. So as the agent is going back and seeing this interaction, how they're being scored, they can also see what was the standard operating procedure and what was the relevant documentation. That quality assurance team has their full scorecard with full context, and the AI is going to suggest and provide evidence for why they're scoring the agent in that way. And the auditor has the ability to override that scoring as well. Now, I mentioned that we have that automatic scoring of 100% of conversations. We do allow the auditors to manually look at that as well. And what that does is it creates a really rich data set for our coaching tool. And our coaching tool off to the right here shows the manager the different areas where the agent is performing well and where their biggest opportunities for improvement are. And if we wanted to find the actual interactions that best exemplify these opportunities for improvement, the manager can then provide very specific context-rich commentary in each of these interactions. It then all goes into a coaching plan that the agent is presented with, reviews together, and they create an action plan on how to bring these scores up. And they're able to track that over time. So again, this idea of quality assurance really does tie in very neatly with the concept of coaching. Now, analytics is the area where I'm super excited, and I think the best way to talk about this is with a couple case studies. So we'll get into that very shortly here. But essentially, in order to improve agent performance, team manager performance, supervisor performance, you need to have a really robust view into how everybody is performing in their day-to-day. So Level AI provides customized dashboards that everyone will see, and it's permission based on role. So a team manager is going to see their whole team's QA performance, whereas an individual agent is going to see their performance, their coaching plans, and maybe a couple key interactions that the AI has recognized is worth looking at. So that's the experience that everybody gets when logging into Level AI. Let's talk a little bit more about how analytics can really be extracted from this unstructured data. What you're looking at here is Level AI's conversation overview, and it'll provide those case summaries as I mentioned. So instead of looking for a really key moment in a 28-minute call, you can use Level AI's conversational intelligence tool to understand what happened in that 28 minutes. And generally, it's going to be 3 to 10 sentences. And as you can see, customer wants to return the farmhouse sink. Agent's going to set the return for Friday, October 20th between 8 and 6 p.m. Confirmation is going to come through an email as well as a return label to the customer, and the refund will come in 3 to 5 days. So that's very, very context rich. It's not saying call opened at 1:39 a.m. and was 28 minutes. It's really telling you exactly what happened. In addition, what you're seeing over here is Level AI's categorization. So what we start to do is cluster together these conversations, and we try to understand what are the commonalities between them and which ones can be kind of grouped together. And that allows us to automatically categorize every single call. So it's not just delivery, but was it packaging? Was it a certain carrier? Was it the time that it came by, right? And so every organization has their own way of thinking about these categories. Level AI either imports it, and we can match your existing category tree, or our AI can automatically discover that for you. And this has been super powerful because think what you can do when you start taking automatic categorization and marrying it up with performance metrics like sales conversion, with average handling time, with first call resolution. Now you know the areas in which you can triage and fix things like, hey, we have a really high average handling time when people call in about payments issues. And you can now change your learning and development program accordingly to try to bring down that AHT for that certain category. Another area where AI is super well poised to help is by identifying emerging trends. The problem I always hear is, I know what I already know, but you have to tell me what I don't already know. And so when you take this idea of, auto categorization, auto summarization, the AI is now able to detect if a certain category is starting to pop up and emerge. And so for a number of our different customers, we found website outages, product outages, issues with deliveries, issues with printers, whatever it might be. And we're able to help identify that with them in real time and say, this is something you need to address to stop the bleeding. And then we're also able to do what we call concern mining. So this is an example of one of our customers that provided us with their product catalog. And then we were looking at all the different conversations about business cards or banners or flyers. And now we're able to bubble up what we determined to be the most significant concerns related to those products. So now we're talking about the contact center, not just, trying to minimize the AHT and to improve the customer experience in that individual moment, but how can we go back to the greater organization, provide meaningful insights on how we can change these products, how we can improve our offerings as we go to market. And if you improve those offerings, maybe you contain more calls as well. So I promised case studies. Here are a few ways that we've helped our customers obtain really meaningful value. The first is when one of the CEOs got some calls from their clients saying, I can't understand your agents. Well, this organization pays for 6 different BPOs to handle their calls. So when the CEO goes to the CX team and says, solve this, the CX team is kind of scratching their head saying, like, which of our 6 BPOs is causing the problem? So they use Level AI to create what we call a conversation tag around language, understanding, and connection issues. So the customer not being able to understand the agent. And what we found is BPO number 2 in 1 out of 3 conversations was having these understandability issues compared to a baseline of anywhere from 15 to 20%. So now the vendor management team and the shared services team at this organization was able to pull their spend away from BPO number 2 until they brought their SLA back up to a much more reasonable amount of understandability. So this is only possible through this semantic intelligence, this natural language understanding that I introduced in the beginning. Another one is just even looking at the agents that are most likely to transfer calls, because we know that's a poor experience for the customer, and we obviously want our agents to be doing their best to answer that on the first time, every time. So when we look at that, we can create a tag just for looking for transferred calls and see that there are certain agents that are way more predisposed to transferring calls compared to a company average of only 1.1%. So now we can go back to the teams, the managers, the agents, and have conversations about how to change that. Or maybe it's something with the IVR, and we can get that feedback to the appropriate team and take action. So as I wrap up with final thoughts, and I'm happy to take questions in the last 5 or 10 minutes here, everyone says their AI is the best. A lot of people are talking about intent, but we really want you to double click on these statements that everybody makes, because the proof really is in the pudding. So are organizations doing keyword matching, which is very cumbersome and intensive, or are they looking for that intent, kind of like that Siri and Alexa example I gave you earlier? Are they presenting things in word clouds where the word cancel comes up really big? Or does it take into account that you might want to cancel your order, you might want to just change the color of your shirt, or you would never cancel your order? So is it really looking at the actual underlying issue? And then if you're trying to assist agents, are you actually understanding the full context of the conversation and everything that's going on, rather than just those keywords coming up? And can your solution summarize entire conversations as if it's a human that wrote it? At the end of the day, Level AI believes that we can really drive a lot of improvements in your organization, from faster QA case selection to more accuracy when you're providing automatic scores, improving the speed to review, and reducing the handling time for your agents by automating that after call work. We also offer solutions around screen recording and agent assist that we didn't really get into today for time, but if you ever reach out to sales@thelevel.ai, we'd be happy to set up a demo on those topics as well. So I see I've got about 8 minutes left. I would love to turn it over to the chat and see if we could answer some questions.
It looks like there's one here that says, could this solution be leveraged in a BPO environment or for a customer with multiple BPOs?
Yeah, Aaron, great question. I'm glad you asked that. Yes, we have a number of BPO clients that we work with. Level AI has an organizational structure that kind of separates church and state, so to speak. So you can look at the individual analytics of each of your customers. A lot of BPOs like to use us because it's a value add to be able to go proactively back to your customers as a BPO and say, here's how I'm generating value. Here's what we're seeing in the data, and we recommend making adjustments to your business in this way. So really great use case for BPOs.
Perfect. And then that brings up another question from a global presence. I'm sure that's not an issue, but from a language perspective, do you support other languages?
Yeah, great question. So there's a number of different ways to think about language. Some quality assurance teams just want to translate from a foreign language to English and go through their scorecard. And Level AI supports that for over 100 different languages. When we talk about doing some of the more advanced machine learning, like the deep analytics where we're automatically categorizing or automatically scoring a rubric, that involves a much deeper element. And today, Level AI supports that for German and soon to be French and Spanish.
That's great. And then you mind just quickly covering off some of the logos you're working with, some of the large names that maybe, brand names that you're working with and how you're working with them?
Sure. So we work with a lot of financial services clients like Carta, MoneyLion, Affirm. We work with e-commerce companies like Vistaprint, BPOs like Infocision. We also work with fundraising organizations, charitable organizations. We just signed on the largest global reinsurance company, and we're working with a number of telecom providers as well. So there really isn't one industry that we're designed for. One of the unique things about Level AI is how we configure each model to everybody's business. And that really is a big differentiator rather than having kind of this out of the box, universal, one size fits all approach to AI.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great because my next question was industry specific. So, really covering all industries, all verticals. What about, is there like a size, like, hey, you could have a small contact center of 10 agents or one as large as 10,000 agents? Is there a size that you typically fit?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Michelle. Readiness for AI is something we talk about a lot. Generally, when it's simple quality assurance, we see that about 50 to 100 agents would be the minimum barrier to entry. When we talk about some of the more advanced use cases like real-time agent assist or harnessing the data, we talk to organizations that are about 200 agents or larger. There's always a little bit of a gray area there. So we're always happy to workshop some use cases with folks. But generally, we want organizations with a readiness to adopt that AI because it is not going to work out of the box for everybody. There will be configurations. There will be things that we need to talk about to make it work best for your organization.
Great. And then also, could this platform be used for something that's internal, right? Versus always customer facing? Could it be something that could be used internally at an organization?
Yeah. So that's also a great question. I'm working with a number of prospective customers on IT service desks, help desks, shared services teams that are actually doing a lot more internal facing work. So a pharmaceutical company that has representatives in doctors' offices, their iPads break, they reach out to this company's IT department. How can we ensure that the pharma reps are getting a quality experience too? So quality doesn't just reach end customers. It can reach, your employees as well.
That's great. And so while you're talking about all these different industries and verticals, you've got to be certified in all of those. Can you just talk quickly about what certifications you have? Because I know they're on your website, but just kind of go over them quickly here. Because when you start to get into the AI and the analytics and all the reporting and bringing forward of information, there's a lot of different security and compliance concerns that are happening there, right? So just quickly going over those so that our viewers, our listeners, whether today or on demand, they know that you've checked all those boxes, right? And you are compliant with the industries that they're particularly in.
Yes, absolutely. So we do meet the requirements for HIPAA certification, SOC 2 Type 2, PCI compliance, GDPR, as well as CCPA. One of the reasons that we check all of those boxes so easily is PII and PHI are redacted before any of our AI models are run. So that's redacted from text transcripts, it's redacted from audio, and that really helps us as we go for those certifications because we never touch that PII data.
That's great. That's huge in today's world, right? With everything that we're seeing out there in the marketplace today, and the big brother that's always over our shoulders. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's all the questions I have from my side. I get some kind of on the bat phone, and I thought I'd bring those forward. So, do you have anything else? Any closing remarks before we
No,
over to the final session?
Yeah, we're a very consultative team, and so we love to have conversations about everybody's unique use cases. We're always happy to help point you in the right direction, even if Level AI isn't the ideal solution. So feel free to reach out to us. Again, that's sales@thelevel.ai, or my email is christian@thelevel.ai, and I'd be happy to help answer any questions there.
Perfect, and we'll make sure to get out your information as well.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everybody.